Okay, I'm gonna pause the video there, then actually go over into Process Street and start showing more. Yeah, okay, if you can see everything. Okay, perfect. So you can see that process using AI agent with Slack, making it super easy for you and your teams to just go in there and say, hey, we need this done. Obviously, that just is one example, right? For SOP creation, you can do that for a myriad of different use cases, and to help speed that process, right? Not just for you, but for your entire team. And then getting into Process Street, just before I jump into the actual process or workflow that we're looking at, just so you have a quick lay of the land, so we're all on the same page. So within Process Street is a software designed, kind of as the name implies, for managing processes. It does a really good job at when you have any sort of process that you're needing to complete, making sure you have the visibility and able to complete those tasks at a timely manner. And so we're gonna jump in. So this is that one that AI built for us. I'm just gonna go first and edit it. So I made a few changes just because I wanted to highlight a few other capabilities and show you a few additional things within Process Street that are really cool. So looking here at this view, we have on this left-hand side the tasks, and then on the right-hand side you'll see basically subtasks. You can think of it as, parent-child. Here's a parent task, here's a child task that is associated with that. So for example, we have role assignments, and here you would be able to assign the work to specific people. You'll notice these little calendar icons are showing that these have specific due dates associated with them, and those are dynamic. So you can, depending on how you set it up, it can be based off, when the next task is complete, then it's due X amount of days later, X amount of hours, minutes later, or based off any sort of date that you have in your process. And so I'm gonna preview this first and show you some features, and then I'll kind of go back and open the lid and show behind the scenes. So I'll just pull up. Okay. So you'll notice first off, I'm not seeing nearly as many tasks as I was previously. So you can set it up so only certain things are visible at a time. There's a lot of customizability with who sees what and permissions. So I'm just gonna hit show more though, so you can kind of see what's going on as I do certain things. So I'm gonna start assigning work. So I'll just say I'm the workflow runner. We'll say the admin is gonna be David, and you'll notice these things start popping up here on the left. IT, and we're gonna make that Peter Parker. Then we'll have Bruce Wayne be in charge of HR, and then we'll say finance is me. So you'll notice as I assign that work, based on here, we have it dynamically associated these tasks with these role assignments. So it makes it really easy to say, okay, you can do that based on individuals or based on teams. If you're saying, hey, this is gonna be assigned to the creative team, this is assigned to the CFO, this is assigned to XYZ. Or you can also kind of hard code that in, or in other words, in the template, you can say this is always going to be assigned to this person. So you have both options. So I'm just going to hit complete. This is going to initiate the onboarding process. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. We'll say the contractor company is, let's use the typical Acme contractor name, John Doe, J Doe at acme.com. We'll ignore that. We'll set their start date to the first of the month. And this is really cool. So we've added a drop down for contractor language. So we'll just click Spanish, and I'll show you why that's relevant and why that's so interesting here in just a sec. So I'm gonna hit complete, and you'll notice on this left-hand side there's a little AI task. So when I hit complete, that automatically triggers that AI task to run. That goes through, and so this specific AI task, I basically just said pretty simple, hey, I want you to take this information and create a welcome email. So it does that, creates this email subject, welcome email. From here you can go in and edit, and say it looks good. I add in an approval step, because obviously you need to make sure everything has the right checks and balances. Here you can say looks good. If you needed to reject, you could reject with a comment saying, hey, I need you to make these changes to this email. we're going to hit approve, and you'll notice we're going to trigger these next AI tasks. So hit next. Okay. So this is, I think it's super cool. So you notice it took what we had written or had AI write for us and actually automatically translated it, in this case, into Spanish. So whatever language you would have selected, have you put Italian, have you put Portuguese, it would recognize that dynamically and then translate it into that language. Isabel, I mean, you speak Spanish. Does that, honest opinion, how's the translation in your opinion?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, not bad, right?
And it looks really, what's the name? Not ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't look like it was someone who posted it into translated, and yeah, it's like, so yeah, it does a really good job. And so it's able to take that and translate it, and now you can, again, if you want to make edits, you could, if you spoke Spanish. If not, probably don't make edits. And then you hit complete, and then we have this little email widget built into the system as well, where it takes that and says, okay, just hit send here, and it automatically sends that email. You can program that to who you want it to be from. It's automatically bringing in that email that we put in the original information, has their name, has all that information. So it makes it super easy. Now you're able to send that email in whatever language they're wanting. So we'll hit that. And then another really cool feature with Process Street is you have the ability to assign work externally. So I have these tasks, which is for the contractor in this hypothetical scenario, saying welcome to onboarding. It's where they put in their information. They'll select, their home office, their preferred payment type, and some different details. But to show you kind of what this looks like, if I go and I'm going to change my view, we've made it so that that guest will only see the tasks that they're assigned, right? They're not going to see the whole workflow. They're not going to get notified until it's their turn. So as soon as you're saying, hey, like we have our internal tasks done, we're ready to get this contractor onboarded, I can send out an email saying, hey, here's a link to open Process Street, and here's your assigned task, right? And then they just log in. This is what their view would look like. They would have their task here on the left. They would be able to fill in their information, hit complete, and just really easily get what they need to done. And the great part is, as they're doing their part, you on the internal side will be able to keep track of that, right? So you'll be able to see exactly what they filled out, where they're at, and you can set up, reminders, notifications to make sure that work is getting done on a timely manner. Okay. Now let me exit out of this and just kind of show you what those AI prompts look like. Before I get into this, any thoughts or questions at the moment? Anything that you guys are wanting to dive into? Yeah.
Does this integrate with other workflows that you may have, like other CRMs or places where we already have some of these details?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, it does, is a simple answer. So it integrates with a CRM like a HubSpot or a Salesforce. So a common use case is like a new client, you have them there in your CRM. Then as soon as they're closed won, you want to trigger automatically that onboarding process. You can set that up so it'll not only trigger that workflow run, but it'll take the data, their name, their email, whatever information you have in your CRM that you're wanting to port over. It'll take that and automatically fill that into your process. That way, like we mentioned earlier, you're eliminating that repetitive manual data entry. Because as we all know, the more times you're manually entering data, the more likely something's going to go wrong. Right, you're gonna miss a letter, you're gonna miss something, you're gonna miss a zero, which can make a huge difference. And so yes, as well as so you can push and pull. You can push data from different sources into Process Street, as well as pull from Process Street and push that into other systems. So yeah, great question. Thank you. So just wanted to show kind of real quick what this prompt looks like. So you'll have these AI tasks, which I like to think of them as kind of mini AI agents, right? Really focused on that specialized employee where they're able to complete one task, right? In this case, whether it's writing an email or in the case of translating. and you have a lot of customizability, very similar to working with like ChatGPT. You'd be able to write your prompt, then you can use variables. So you notice we're bringing in the contractor name, we're bringing in the manager, we're bringing in the company. So any field that you have in your process, you can reference that dynamically. And then I wanted to show one more thing. I'm just going to publish this, and we're going to go through a run real quick. So you notice it also integrates with Slack. I don't know if you heard that, but so you can not only get notifications in Slack, but you can also work directly in Slack. So you can have your teams, if they're already in Slack, instead of having them have to jump to Process Street to get their work done, avoiding that context switching, they can actually go in and mark tasks done in Slack, and so they're never having to leave the tool they're in. And then I just wanted to show one other quick thing. I'm gonna go through this. It might, hopefully it doesn't error out because there's no data. Sorry, real quick. Just go there. Okay, here. We'll hit complete. Okay. So then I'm gonna go over here, and you'll see we set up an automation that as soon as that welcome email is sent out, we're notifying our team saying, hey team, we have a new contractor joining our MIS. Obviously I didn't fill out the information, so they're just saying contact name, but it would dynamically bring that in saying, here's the contractor name, here's the company, whatever other information you have that's relevant, you can bring that in and then notify the team, right? It's a good way to keep everyone in the loop saying, hey, we just hired someone, we have this onboarding process, we want everyone to know about it, give them a welcome, whatever information, sends out that Slack to whatever channel or person you've, however you've set that up. Perfect. So that's that when it comes to this flow.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
So have you customized Process Street, or is this your application, or what's your role?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's not my application. So we are a partner to Process Street. So Process Street is a different company. They're a software product company. So we're one of their official partners. So what we'll do is we'll help companies with implementing, with creating these workflows, with training. Kind of depends on the need. Some clients are like, hey, come in, just train us, train whoever internally, then we want to take it from there. Others, are more like, we want you to stay on hands-on. But at the end of the day, it's basically helping them maximize the use of this software. Yeah.
Are there other softwares that you guys use, or just this one?
There are others. So another main big one we use is called Adobe Workfront. So if you're familiar with that, it's a different enterprise level project management system.
You have all this integrated through Slack. Does it do other ones too, like if you use Teams?
It'll do Teams, yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, there's a lot of integrations. We just use Slack, so that's the easiest one to show. But yeah.
Teams and Slack are kind of the two big main ones that people use. But anything that's web-based, that has access to the API, we can integrate with.
And it has, yeah, exactly. I was gonna mention. So there's native integration. So Slack is a native integration. This makes it really easy. But it's an open API, so you can do a lot. If you're familiar with the integration of open API, it's pretty limitless as long as you have the right tools and the knowledge. Because sometimes that can get complicated. So I wanted to just real quick go back into Process Street and show something that I think may be relevant for some of you. I know there's quite a few that are kind of marketing type roles here. So that's this blog post ideation process. So I'm just gonna run this and talk through it real quick. So this is really silly. I just made this up real quick. So don't judge the brand or anything, the brand voice. But I put in my brand voice, and then the purpose of this workflow is for creating blog content, right? You can kind of guess that by the title. And so you can schedule this out to run, let's say, every Monday morning. So every Monday or every other Monday, whatever, we want to create a new blog post. So we want to accelerate that process by using AI, but also want to have visibility. Because you could just go into ChatGPT or Grok and you could put in, hey, do this. But then you start losing, like if one teammate's doing that, you don't have the visibility into what they're doing. So we're gonna come in here and we're gonna do a really serious topic, how to train a dragon. A how to guide on training dragons. So you're just putting in the information. The objective is teaching people how to properly train dragons. SEO terms would be dragon and trainer. Target audience will say fans of fiction, right? So you put in whatever, then you'd hit complete, and then AI is going to be able to take all the information that you put in, and then output a blog post based on that, right?
Where does it get its information?
So it's going to be using, has OpenAI as the back and as the backbone of it.
Does it show you which websites it copied off of?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I
so
don't
you'll
think
just
so.
have some duplicate content issues, but that's okay.
Yeah. And that we're potentially in the prompt, you could be like, hey, make sure we're changing things, or maybe you could say, I didn't have that thought, but give me a guide or a list of where you got this material, so you can mess with that prompt to
Yeah,
try to
because
help
in
with
Gemini,
that.
when you have it write a blog, it will highlight every sentence it stole from somebody else and give you the link to the website that it stole it from. So you can undo them.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's a great call out. And I think it would be manipulating that prompt to make sure you're getting the right output. But yeah, so then it says, okay, here's our how to train a dragon. You would go through, edit this. Once that's done, you would complete it. You have that approval step. You look forward to make sure it looks good. And then you can schedule that post and then confirm post. But the rest of it we've already kind of seen. But I just wanted to show that quickly, that flow. And again, we're showing specific use cases, but hopefully the idea is you're able to look at this and think, okay, how is this applicable for me? Whether it's writing a blog post or
Is
whether.
that actually pushing it to make a page on the website?
No, this isn't integrated with.
It can.
It can as long as.
Like if we wanna go to AM sites or any other system for web content,
Yeah, we can build that integration, as long as we have the open AI access to that system that we're pushing it into. But yeah, so go back to what I was saying is thinking through how is this going to be applicable for your business. What are ways that we can use these tools to accelerate the timeline of whatever work that is getting done, and you can trigger these workflows. Not only manually like I've been doing, but you can also have them automatically triggered by different events, or that's an email, for example. If you're saying, hey, you want this, whenever this email, basically you have an email, you would forward it to a specific address, and that automatically triggers a workflow run to start. You can use AI to parse that email to get data from that email to then fill in the forms for you. So that way, if part of your process is receiving an email from a client for an RFP, for example, you can take that and then start your RFP process seamlessly.